starts at 6:30. Gave me the okay to finally stand up. So I want to welcome you all for coming. I'm Diane Gundy, currently the president of the Senior Center. Tonight is about the 9 candidates that we have, 9 for the primary. Tonight we only have 7 of them here. 2 of them are unable to come. Each one has received a number. I gave them all a number. And then we have another number jar over there with the numbers, and we'll call them up to tell them which order they'll speak. Because number 1 didn't want to be first. So I hope I didn't pick her number. And let's see. I gotta get my glasses on now, so the next part. Each one will be given 5 minutes to introduce himself and outline their vision and priorities for the city. Sue Gundy is in charge of the timer, 5 minutes. If you don't hear her timer, she'll hit the gavel. I dug that out. The general guidelines for the public and the candidates is what we'll be following here tonight. Number 1 is be respectful of others, no personal attacks. There will be no questions from the audience or no questions from the candidates to the audience. Candidates in public are not to interrupt each candidate when they're speaking. No alcohol or under the influence of alcohol or drugs. After each candidate has had their 5 minutes to speak, the event is concluded. Anyone violating the above mentioned will be asked to leave immediately or law enforcement will be called. When the candidates come up, the steps are over here, so make sure you use the steps up and down, so you don't hurt yourself jumping up and down. And if anybody wants a mask, we have masks up front. We have water back there if you want water. And we'll get started. And let's see who the lucky number is. Number 6.
Hi, my name is Randy Tallin. I grew up in Kinney, but I spent a lot of my time in Buhl with friends and relatives. A large portion of my family lives in Buhl, and that's why I chose to move back a few years ago. Lately, I've been serving on the Buhl Parks and Rec Board, and I'm a volunteer firearms safety instructor here in town. I'm running for City Council because I believe I can help bridge the gap between our City Council and the citizens that elect them to serve. We've been through a lot for the last few years, and it's demonstrated how disconnected from our community the current council is. The people haven't heard when they've expressed concern over several items, and the accomplishments that have been made have been overshadowed by confusion and disarray. We also need to ensure that the city's priorities are decided based on priorities of all residents, not just those that sit on the council. This can be accomplished by regular involvement and active engagement with our community members. Next, we should not have to sacrifice the resources and amenities that we already have in order to focus on personal priorities. We shouldn't let our parks, libraries, and even city buildings turn to rubble until there's no other option but to tear them down and build over the ashes, or until our street projects become more than we can tackle in an efficient and productive way. I know I have a lot to learn, but I'm not afraid to ask questions. The only campaign promise that I can make you today is honesty and an open ear to everyone. I hope all of you elect somebody who will represent you first before themselves. And I know that isn't 5 minutes, but if anybody has any questions for me, I'll be outside afterwards. Thank you.
See, you didn't even think.
Not yet.
Okay, the next one's number 5.
Make it a hard one to follow there, Chowder. You guys don't know me, I'm Zebediah Gardner. I moved here from Las Vegas about 17 years ago. I wanted a more normal and wholesome life. Wholesome, yeah, not normal. I fell in love with the people of Buhl and the community. Everyone has always been so honest and heartfelt and connected. Let's see here. I would just, reason I'm running is I like to just be able to listen to the people and keep Buhl the ideal community that I think it could be and has been for me. I always see it as a family-oriented community, and I'd like to keep that going, such as the parades, the parks, the Buhl Curling Center. And I do like what Tallin and the Rec Board has been doing with the Buhl Curling Center, trying to promote new members and new youth to join. And I think we should do that with more things. Like I said, my main point is to be able to listen to people and just build on our family and community-oriented town and continue with the history and traditions of this town. That's all I got. Thank you.
Ready or not, you're number one.
Oh.
Hello, I am Renee Lesler, and I'm running for Buhl City Council. I just first and foremost want to thank the Buhl City Senior Center for allowing us to come here today and to share our goals and our visions of this community. I really appreciate that, to be able to speak, and I'm sure everyone here also is thankful. And I also am thankful to see all these wonderful faces, you guys taking your time out of your day to hear what we have to say. I appreciate it. As I said, I am Renee Lesler, and I grew up in Virginia, Minnesota, but I've been living here in Buhl for 16 years. My husband and I, when we were looking for a place to reside, we looked for a place where we could have a family, grow a family, and we looked at Hibbing, Chisholm, Virginia, and I fell in love with Buhl. And I'll never forget the first time I drove into Buhl. There was this little boy, he was probably around 9 years old, and he was playing basketball on the street. And I've never seen that before, and I'm like, what, you can play basketball on the street? But I thought it was the coolest thing because I was like, he felt such a peace, like that nobody was gonna run him over. And so it was like, it was really neat, and I just thought, wow, this place is amazing, and I just know that this is where I wanted to raise my kids. The community is amazing, and my husband grew up in the country, and I was from Virginia in the city, and so it was like a mutual ground. And so I am a social worker for the county, and I'm working part-time, so I definitely have opportunities and time. If you guys need to talk, I'm here to listen. If you have complaints or if you just want to see how things are going, I'm here. I have time to look for grants. I know I worked as a probation officer, and I did a lot of grants in probation, and I also worked at the Hibbing High School and worked under a grant, so I know the tediousness of grants. I know how the logistics of grants, and so I know that there's probably grants out there for small cities, and so that's something that I will definitely look into. I'm definitely motivated. I also, if you elect me, I know how important that the City Council needs to be transparent with everybody, and so I definitely will try my best to be transparent. Whoop, sorry. We don't have, I wish we had more of a mutual ground in Buhl, where you can come together and have more, things. The Rec Board is doing an amazing job, but I definitely will listen to you and try to let everybody know what the City Council is doing. I don't want to hide anything, but just being transparent and also reflecting what you guys have to say. It's about you. I don't know if you see my little signs everywhere. It says our city, our council, and really that's what it is. It's our council. It's the people's council, and so that's what I want to reflect. Not what I have to say. Like if I go against what everyone else thinks, I'm still going to choose what the majority of the people want because I think that's important. I also am highly motivated and will make sure that what I say, I'll make sure it gets done. I also think it's important that Buhl is sustainable. I look for the future and I am excited to know that we have industries here and I would love more things to come, you know, for our kids so that our kids can be excited about everything. I think that there's a lot going on here. We have amazing things in this community. We have 3 pits and just so many things, and I just want to continue the city to have more and more industries and people and just keep growing, and that will just, I always call Buhl like the hidden treasure of the North because I truly believe that it is. I tell everybody that I meet that got to see Buhl. Buhl has all this stuff. We have the bike trail, we have Stubler Pit, so it's very exciting, this area. I also think that that I'll look into projects. I know that Chisholm is doing that splash pad, and so that's something too that we could look at maybe seeing or whatever people want. I think that is it. Thank you.
Number 9.
Hello, I'm David Johnson. I've asked you all how you're doing, but we're not supposed to ask questions. I've lived in town for pretty much my whole life. A lot of you know who I am. So my mom and I moved to Buhl when I was for the 4th grade. Used to live in the Trailer Court, and now I've lived over by the intersection there, Pennsylvania Forest, and have a house over there in town. I started my business here in town. And I really like my main thing is I really like to see there be a lot more ways of informing the people of what's going on, and keeping them up to date, not just in that newsletter, but in other ways too, whether it's something at the post office or shortstop. I mean, they used to sell city bags there. There's no reason they can't put up city information there. And there's one of the things I like about Buhl is how small it is. You know, like Zeb was saying there about how it's family oriented. So Renee, I'd like to. The nice thing about that is we kept it small. It's a tight-knit community, and I think there's other ways to increase the revenue for the city instead of increasing population. There's options, you know, for more industry. We're bringing things like municipal liquor store or something like that, or car wash or something. There's things out there we can explore, options that we can look into it, and then that money could be used for more parades and things like that without having to tear things down and put up more houses and things like that. I think that'd be something we should really look into doing. So I don't have nearly as much to say as Randy did, or certainly not as much as Renee did. But I appreciate everybody coming out, and I'll always be accessible if you have any questions for me or anything like that. So my number's on the side of the building over there up on Sharon Street, so you can always give me a call anytime. Thank you.
Number 4.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Sheila Lavarge. Everybody made really great points tonight on a lot of the issues that we've faced in the last few years. I do agree that we do need to bring in things into our small town. I've brought up a laundromat and a car wash. I've also been brought up in a generation where there weren't as many kids, but there were a lot of kids. And quite frankly, having a 10-year-old and then a big age gap, having an 18 and 17-year-old, there are tons of kids in this town. And bringing things in for them would be great. My grandparents and my parents always ensured that there was something for us and keeping us entertained and keeping us out of trouble. And even if we got in trouble, you know, it wasn't, I mean, everybody knew, but it got taken care of. And that's just how our community has always been. And I think that being on the council, I want my children to know that I did something to improve our small town, to make it more fun for them, like our childhood was for us. I do believe that I need education in certain things on how to look for grants and such like that, and I'm willing to learn. The idea of a splash pad is a great idea. Also expanding our park and making it handicap accessible for everybody, whether you be elderly, whether you be physically handicapped even as a child in a wheelchair or any other form. I believe that those are things that we really truly do need. Having the accessibility as well to know what's going on in our city hall and having things that are more up to date and there as soon as things happen instead of finding out later on or not knowing at all in general. I believe that's another issue that I would like to change and address. There's so much, and I see the town being split, and that's not something that I want. I don't want my kids growing up like that. I want them to grow up like I did. And I know times are changing, but we are still a tight-knit community, and we need to find that again. I'm young, I'm ambitious, I may not feel like it all the time, but I'm here for the people. And I will listen. And I will fight and do my absolute best for you. That's all I have.
Number 8.
You can go last. All right, I am Stuart Lehman. I am currently your city council member. I have been for the last 8 years, 2 terms now. The last term I've been pro tem mayor for the city under Scorp, or John Claridge. I'm 40 years old. I grew up in a small little place up north in Greening, Minnesota. It's close to Orr, if you don't know. I went to school in Orr, Minnesota, and then I went to college in Hibbing for diesel mechanics program there. I moved to Buhl, 15 years ago, and I met the love of my life. I have 3 beautiful kids that I've been raising here. So it's a great place. I've loved living here. And I've really loved representing Buhl and representing the citizens of Buhl. With that, I've been on the Buhl Fire Department for 10 years, and I've been an EMT. I was on the Buhl Ambulance for 9 years, and the city had, and the members and the city come up with getting rid of the ambulance because it was too much of a stress and too hard on the members to keep going. So we had all decided that it was time to go with something else. So we got rid of the service. We kind of didn't really sell it, but we sold all the stuff to a company where I still worked as an EMT for them. But now, recently, they wanted to go a different direction, and now we have Essentia that is here, and Essentia is trying to upgrade their license to have paramedics for much better service. So some of the things that I've the boards I've been on, am on is, I'm on the Rams board. I go to a monthly meeting every month. And there's sometimes have special events that we put on across the range that we go to and support. And the Rams is the Range Association of Municipalities and Schools. And they represent everything from Silver Bay to Crosby Ironton. Covers the Iron Range. And there's, I don't know how many towns there is now. Towns, townships, schools that are in this. And we all advocate for the range, whatever it is. It might not be directly for Buhl, but like a couple years ago when we were going to have North Homes come into Buhl and use the school, that was one of their priorities that they put on their legislative agenda to help Buhl. So there is some things that are direct, but most of the time we all advocate for one range, one voice, and that's what we push to the governor's office and all the legislators and senators and representatives. We all have a electronic signature that we can put our name on this letter. The whole Iron Range is covered. For a short time, I was on the Central Range Iron Main Sanitation, this sewer plant where Chisholm and Buhl are together in on this sewer plant. And I was on that board for a couple years until somebody else wanted to be in. I didn't have the time to be going on that. And then one of the other guys that did go took my spot was John Clarich, and he had lots of time. And so I was on that for a few years. I was on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I was on the Rec Board for a few years. That was quite a while ago. Some of the reasons I'm running, I really enjoy representing Buhl, advocating for Buhl, and it's a great place to be. It's a great place to live. It's great people that live here. You know, it's not a high. Okay. Finish? Okay. Oh. Just a couple of things. A couple of years ago, we had the disc golf we put in. Our budget, we keep doing that every year. One of the things I want to say is that me being on the council for 8 years, I tend to forget to ask questions that I already know, but that's not people that are watching don't know, so I'm trying. Thank you very much. The score looks great in the senior center.
What are our numbers?
What do you think? Number 7.
Number 7.
Come on up. Your lucky number.
Yeah. My name is Seth Erickson. I am currently running for an open seat on Buhl City Council. My wife Tanya and son Christopher and I, back in August of 1999, moved to Buhl. Why did we move to Buhl? To be honest, I didn't want to move to the east side of the range. She did not want to move to the west side of the range, so we moved to the middle. Bought our house from a friend of mine. In April of 2000, I joined the Buhl Fire Department. I am still in the department for the last 12 years. I have been serving as the Assistant Fire Chief. I'm currently employed with Komatsu as Senior EHS Specialist and have been with them since 2004, back when we were P&H Mine Pro and Joy Global, held many different positions. I am running for office to continue the work City has done to get our infrastructure updated and look for ways to bring more people to Buhl. Buhl is a great community with great people. Now we just need to work together and look at making Buhl greater than ever before. One of the issues I'm seeing that I've been here is our public safety department. What's that? Fire and EMS. Fire department right now is always looking for more people every single day. As Stuart said earlier, we had the ambulance service. It was down to about 6 people that were responding to calls that night. Well, we're also working full-time jobs. We could not do it. I know when the license came back around for us to take it over again, people were asking why did we not open up the ambulance service again? We've been continually asking for help and getting nowhere. People have always said, yes, I want to apply, but nobody does. If you know anybody that is looking to join either the fire or the EMS, let me know, let one of our members know, let City Council know. We'll put you in the right way to get on the department or even to ask questions. Please ask questions. We'll help you out. Another issue I see is expanding our tax base. We need to bring more people or businesses to Buhl. With the cost of everything going up, such as that provide essential services like public safety and even plowing the streets, this would help offset these costs without raising property taxes or utility rates, which you see a lot of people are not happy when those items happen. Everybody gets mad when that happens. This is one way to offset that. We need to keep making improvements to our infrastructure. The last 2 years have been very challenging. I understand for some of the citizens that lived in those areas that the roads were being updone and water lines were being done, but it was way overdue. The infrastructure that was done is great. The parade that happened, a lot of people have spoken to me and said, wow, Buhl has some really great, beautiful streets. The boulevards are beautiful, and everything's looking great. That's a commitment back to this community and the people that are here. And I guess I'm going to say this to the other candidates. I really wanted to go first, so I didn't have to be up here last. But listening to some of the things that were said, you can tell that we all have different views. I hope that would be the case because we're all different people. But I think one of the things that I saw was, Sheila said, was Buhl is great people. They are. We need to work together. There has been a lot of people not happy with each other, taking it out, frustration on each other, calling out people by name. We're better than that. We are way better than that. We're a community with great kids, great neighbors, and a great community. Thank you.
Well, that didn't take 45 minutes, did it? We had 2 that could not come, Denise Keeley and John Marcus. They're both unable to come tonight. And so they had their little speeches ready, but we didn't know if we should give them or read them or not. So we're just going to go with what we have then. The primary election's coming up next Tuesday, August 9th, going to be right here. I want to thank you candidates for coming and sharing your ideas with us. This is great. And this, I guess, is going to conclude our evening. Thank you all for coming.